Alright, so behind me I've got a little blue board. I thought it'd make it a little more magical if the colours were different. And anyway, so we're going to talk about divination, divining, being a soothsayer, I believe is another word. There's all kinds of a seer, an oracle. It was actually quite a respected job back in the about 500 years ago, before I guess occultic stuff was kind of phased out and such. Especially about 1,000, 2,000, and then the further back you go, the more divination was very important. To Roman culture, to Greek culture, Egyptian, ancient Chinese, many other. I would imagine the ancient Vedic or Indian culture as well, though I haven't encountered any. I haven't read anything about that, but pretty much any culture you have, any ancient culture has a system of magic. It has a system of divination. Every culture's got a system of just about everything, be it their system of magic, their system of not magic, excuse me. They do have that. What I was meant to say was medicine, martial arts, and crafting, education, etc., etc. Divination was one of them. Anyway, throughout the years we've acquired a couple types of divination. I wrote up a few basic ones here, but there are quite a few of them. We all probably know about the tarot cards, which are a series of cards. There are lots and lots of different types. I personally like the Hermetic Tarot because it has, I should probably pull them out actually, do a few card pulls and such. The Hermetic Tarot has the astrological signs, and that's how I read it personally. Otherwise, I'm not really into looking at the pictures. Some people like looking at the pictures of the tarot cards, and that's perfectly fine. If that's how you like to do divination, as we'll talk about, there are different kinds, and that'll work as well. But for me, I like the more symbolic, more So for example, the Three of Pentacles, it's got a Mars. It's got, I believe this is Capricorn Mars, or the Eight of Wands has Mercury and Sagittarius. Ten of Cups has Mars and Pisces. So it's a nice deck. And out of this, as we probably know, you have the major and the minor arcana. The major arcana give a very big, clear picture on things, while the minor give a more sub kind of a smaller look, or a more I think it's almost like if you have a big circle, the major arcana is a big circle, the minor is like little things around it which change the internal, but it all depends on how you want to read it, as we will get to. Next is runes, little bones which have symbols on them, meaning certain things. What do they mean? Well, partly that's up to you, and partly that's up to what it meant to me. See, the thing with divination is that you can either use the original meaning. For example, here we go, the Tower card. So, what is the meaning of the Tower card? Usually it can be that things, just say if you started up a business and you got the Tower card, I would imagine the business is not going too well. It's maybe falling down, or it's collapsing, or there's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of intensity which is about to unfold, and it doesn't necessarily mean the business will fail or anything. It just means that you could have a little hiccup. Perhaps you could get who knows, you could get a lawsuit. Perhaps you could run into monetary trouble, needing to pay back more debt or something. It's just some kind of, of course, the other cards would tell as well. But you can read the original kind of meaning, or a meaning that you find online. You can look up online to find the meaning of these cards, or you can make up your own meaning. And anytime you pull a card, you can read from that meaning. You can also just pick up the card and intuitively, in your imagination or your feelings or something, any kind of psychic sense that you have developed, you can just divine the meaning. And generally, every time it will be different, but it will be similar to the other meaning. Maybe one card you have you pull when someone has a child, or is having a child or something, or another card when someone is getting a job, or they're changing jobs or something, etc., etc. But of course, maybe you pull that card when someone, just say it's a male who can't get pregnant. You would then who doesn't have a family, so you'd be like, well, this can't be the child card, so you kind of divine it as something different. Who knows? Maybe a relative's having a child, or something to do with going back into your childhood imagination or something. You'll figure this stuff out, and it's also trial and error. Don't feel obligated to divine for anyone who puts you under any kind of pressure or anything. You're gonna make here's the thing. You're gonna make mistakes, of course, as a diviner. Just say when you're tired or your mind's not quite clear. Excuse me. It's like any other kind of job or hobby or task. How many times you fail in anything? Just writing things and writing words. I make mistakes all the time. I have to rub things out and redo it, or typing. So yeah, just saying that. Nature is a very vast, open field for divination. The sky, for example, is a very easy one. Usually cloudy, dark weather is bad. Dark, the clouds are more bad, but it can also relate to, doesn't have to be bad, so to speak. It could be relating to like the yin force, or the night force, or whatever. Or you would assume windiness is, you can relate it to, what does that mean? Something quick, something new thoughts, a rush of something, or travel, movement, change, etc. And it could be heavy wind, that would be a bad wind, I would think. A light wind would just be a subtle kind of thing. You divine how you want. Sometimes the sun starts to come through the clouds, and you think, oh, something's opened up. Many times I've found that, or the weather's cleared up, and it all kind of relates, in that way, and you can read it as that way. This nature relates to like tea divining. Just earlier today, I spilled a little bit of tea when I was outside, and more of it landed on the lowest step, and I took that as a sign instead of the highest step, and I was like, okay. And that brings me into another idea: setting parameters. Now, what I mean by parameters is that, for example, I don't know if anyone did this. I never did it because I thought it was stupid, actually. Funny enough. But now I'm teaching divination. Jeez, who would have thought? People in primary school, I remember, or schooling, would write a yes and a no on their rubbers, the eraser that you used to erase grey lead pencil, and they would flip them and ask questions to the magical rubber. A parameter in this case is saying yes, or is it writing yes or no. Similarly how I said with the tea, I didn't have a parameter. I just flicked tea and asked the question, and then only was it after that I decided on the parameters of the lower and the higher step where it landed, for example. So you don't have to set parameters. You could just kind of do things like brew tea and look at the tea. You can also set parameters and say, well, you know, if there are more leaves at the bottom part of the top part, left or right, or if it forms a shape or whatever. Or you can simply just look into it and imagine something, or you can just kind of get a feeling or a sense of what's going on. So more nature, you can look at the ground, the dirt, into leaves. I believe the Chinese, they used to roast a turtle shell and look into it, the cracks into it, looking in the cracks of roasted wood. And there's all kinds of interesting things. It really, the point I'm trying to get into your head is that you can do it if you want. Really, you could just listen to ambient noise. You can use anything for divination because of the way how it works. When you don't really understand it, you might think, well, yeah, isn't that kind of silly? How is it real? Well, to answer that, to be honest, I would say don't really think about that. Just do it. You know, it's real because you do it. If you look up into the sky and you start seeing things and you start applying that to life, that's real because you've done it. Does it actually? Is it true? Does it mean anything? Sometimes. I find the better you are, yes, it actually does. And it's like anything. Just so your magic is like that, where you have to get more experiences in your life. And I'm saying a lot, excuse me. Whatever. You eventually, yeah, get more and more confidence. And it waxes and wanes, you know, it goes up and down. It's life is like that. Anyway, internal divination. This is when you get good, or if you're naturally gifted psychic, or whatever. I used to do this a lot back when I was more an active person doing divination. Is you simply just people ask you questions, and you just open yourself up, not too much, and you just kind of feel it all and let it all come to you. Open your mind and give it some energy, and the answers, things will just come to you. You also, this is something you have to practice a bit, because random junk will come to you. See, sometimes things you don't really want to know about a person will come to you. I've had that happen. It's not quite nice. So you can also focus on the person instead of the question, and you can just, things will pop into your head psychically. Really, you have to practice this. You have to just, practice. It's really just practicing psychic abilities, the very basic early level psychic abilities. They can go pretty far though, so that's kind of a whole other video. Just yeah, how do I explain it to someone who's never done it? Because I probably should. Okay, so let's just have a scenario. Scenario 1. A person asks you a question that they want you to divine. You relax, you close your eyes, you kind of breathe and meditate, and you focus on the question in your mind, in your imagination. You focus on the question, and you don't try to answer it logically. You just allow images and feelings and words and sensations to come to you, and you try to, from those, it's like almost writing down a dream. You try to take what you think is correct, and you'll kind of know what is correct after a while. The things that aren't correct don't feel so correct. The things that are correct, you kind of feel more of a pull to them. They'll feel more pure. They'll feel more yeah, I don't know, you just kind of get the feeling after a while, and it does take trial and error. Sometimes you don't want to believe something, or you don't want to, yeah, basically, it's like, it's uncomfortable. Someone asks you a question about something, you really tell them something uncomfortable. It's not the nicest thing. So, yeah, scenario 2 is someone wants you to divine them. Maybe they want you to feel out situations or another person. Again, you close your eyes, you meditate, relax, and you start to focus on them, their energy. If they're next to you, try to focus on them physically. If they're not, just focus on the feeling of them spiritually, or you can bring them up in your mind and their body, maybe their feeling, their energy, and you just like allow things to come to you. You just relax and allow it to come. Or you stimulate it a little bit by I don't even remember. It's so long. To me, it just kind of comes. You just play around in your imagination, I guess. Otherwise, for scenario 2, maybe you have to divine another person. So you think about the you got to be good at capturing energy. This is a little bit esoteric, but just say someone tells you to answer a question about someone you don't even know, but they do. When they talk about that person, feel their emotions, the person's emotions. If it's over text, you have a bit less to work on, but you still can. Really, you just have to take yourself to a meditative state, and almost like it's literally you are astrally traveling, taking your consciousness, your consciousness through, you're using your mind mentally to try to capture the energy of whatever that they said. Find information on this person, tell me about this person. When it says this person, find information on this person, that text, try to feel the sensations that they are giving, that it's leading to. Try to feel where that person, that mysterious person is, the energy of that person, through like a meditative shamanic experience, essentially. And then you try to you target, you pinpoint that person's energy, and you almost like drawing or mining, and pulling in like with a laser beam, or stimulating, like giving that energy a little bit of your energy, lighting it up a little bit, and just kind of absorbing what comes to it. Yeah, did you get any of that? Hopefully. So that's, it's going to take practice. You just got to do that. But you'll kind of get there. And again, as I said, don't be afraid of failing. Just kind of write down the most important things, or remember the most important things, because it is like a dream where if you go through this state, you'll forget a lot of it if you're not kind of used to it. So that's why you want to get to the point where you can write on a keyboard or a notepad, or speak and record yourself while in this state. Like, you don't even need to close your eyes. You close your eyes a little bit and write, close your eyes a little bit, or just while you're writing, it's kind of like automatic writing while pulling in, because you can also just pull in the sensations of the person that you're meant to be searching for, or the question, or again, you get better at this and it just becomes more natural, and you just got to play around with it a lot. So anyway, that's kind of internal divination. So you've got basically internal and external, and you've got the toys, which is tarot, runes, I Ching. This one's kind of cool. I want to learn more about it because it's very clean. I hear it really gets to the heart of the matter a lot of the time, the I Ching. So yeah, that one's kind of cool. It's a Chinese one. Anyway, so I guess one question is like, how does divination work with runes, cards, all that, little spinners? You have a spinner and you have 4 sides, or you have 2 sides, positive, negative. Usually through things like elements, or just elements, polarities. For example, if you had a spinner and it and you span it on a positive, negative circle, so you cut out a piece of wood, or a circular piece of wood, or whatever, a block, and then you nailed a spinner to it, or you screwed a spinner onto it, and then you just flicked it with your finger, and it landed on positive. Well, that's because you've split reality into positive and negative. This is a really simple spinner. It's quite nice. You split it into positive and negative. So you can just keep doing that and using it for divination. Positive, of course. What's your question? Am I going to eat an orange tomorrow? Positive means probably. But if it's what about if it's not like at the top? If it's at the top, then it's like, yeah, probably you will. If it's over here, it's like maybe yes. If it's like down here, it's like maybe no. And if it's down here, it's like probably not. If you know what I mean. So you can then complexify it a bit more. At least we could have the four elements. Air, fire, water, earth, and then, you know, again, a spinner lands on fire. What is the question? Will I see a brick in the next minute? Fire is like probably yes, but fire is also ephemeral, or is that the word? It's a phantom. So it's like I'm imagining a brick right now. Maybe if it landed on Earth, then it would be yes. But we also run into the problem where, what if you're in a location where you can't see a brick? Or then you just kind of have to take what you can get. So that's where divination, it's like you can't really ask stupid questions and expect a good result. Yeah. But to an extent, I was looking at the wall, so there is technically a brick behind it, so fire isn't such a bad position to get on that, but yeah, whatever. You can also do this in your imagination. If you have a really good imagination, you can read tarot cards and reaching, whatever. In your mind, you can just get ideas of nature as well. Yeah, it's whatever. Okay, so elements, astrology as well. Tarot works on, you know, the Kabbalah, the astrology, the elements, yeah, the everything of Western occultism. So basically, you make divination systems based off splitting up nature into parts. For example, you know, how many things you want to split this up into? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's 6. Now it's 7. That didn't look great. Now it's 7. Now it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, cool. Now it's 9. Now it's 10. Now it's 11, etc. And you just keep splitting up reality in different ways. And you can also add another circle around it. Ooh. It's getting cool. And you can have another spinner, or you can have cards relating to each of these, and they relate a little bit to this part and a little bit to this part as well. Maybe there's 2 which relate here, so you got these 2 which relate to this. So whatever element, like maybe this is positive, negative, or something. So it's like the positive, negative aspects of fire, or oops, that's air or water is in here. So negative air, negative water, and shit, excuse me, and positive water. You know what I mean? So you just keep splitting up really basic natural things, and that's how you get the symbolism and all that for divination. You kind of use the same thing for making card games, like making some kind of crazy esoteric Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was kind of esoteric in the beginning. Anyway, then you just have to learn how to read these and apply them to a situation. Just say if someone is, I'm seeing a wedding. Water, you know, relates to emotion, wedding. What would a negative water be if you got that for a wedding? Maybe it would mean kind of a boring, more emotionally tense wedding, or emotionally draining. Who knows? If it's positive water, maybe it means a very hyper, very sunny. It could mean the weather. Even the weather's kind of cloudy. The weather's kind of sunny. So yeah, if you know what I mean, you just have to like apply symbolisms or reality split up into pieces and read that, applying to your situation. So that's one kind. You can kind of think there are 2 kinds of divination: that where you read symbolism and all that stuff, and the second is the internal one where you're astrally projecting. And again, the more you know about it, the idea of astrally projecting, because it's such a bad New Age buzzword. Literally just means projecting your consciousness into the non-physical, your imagination, which is basically just the electromagnetic realm where people's thoughts and some other things, your memories and some consciousnesses can be So yeah, it's pretty much divination. Pick if you want to do the internal or the external one. Pick your parameters if you want parameters or you don't, and just apply it to the situation. Personally, I used to do a lot of the internal stuff, but I kind of like the external stuff because here's the thing: if you say to someone, I can read your mind or I can like answer a question or whatever, and you literally just sit there like a little computer, like buffering something, and you spit it out and you tell them and like, wow, how do you know that? But that's kind of weird. You just like sat there doing nothing. If they're not a spiritually inclined person, they will think that's a bit weird and probably not believe you. And even if you tell them the correct question, they'll have that weird thing where they're like, yeah, you were right, but still, I don't know about that. Well, if you pull out a deck of cards, or I don't know, I was thinking one time using like mahjong pieces, but mahjong pieces are really bulky, so I'd have to get like a deck of cards for mahjong pieces printed on them, if you know what I mean. The pictures. If you pull that shit out, people will be like, whoa, that's kind of cool. It's like a party trick. While in the meantime, you're like, reading the rest of their life when they die or when they have children or whatever. So yeah. I guess just like don't take it too seriously because unless you're with people who do take it seriously, or unless you really want to, all I'm saying is like just firstly don't stress yourself out about this stuff. And if you're around people who aren't really into it or aren't really like super psychic or super spiritual, just kind of like, chill and have it as a fun thing if you want to pull it out with them, divination stuff. So, yeah, whatever. Have fun with it and enjoy it. Goodbye.